I've always been someone who says yes. Yes to new opportunities, yes to new adventures, yes to things I've never even tried before, because I genuinely want to experience as much as I can. And at a place like Arizona State University, that mindset takes you far. It opens doors and puts you in rooms you never expected to be in, and it did exactly that for me. I went from taking photos on the sidelines as a sports photographer to standing in front of 56,000 people as an in-game host, and eventually to opportunities at the major league level. But what I didn't realize at the time was that I had gotten so used to always moving and not very good at ever being still. I'm a second-generation Sun Devil, and I'm proud of it, and I really did take advantage of everything that this university offers. At one point, I was enrolled in 4 academic programs: business, dance, global health, international business. If you knew me at that time, thank you for bearing with me while I decided on my academic path temporarily. Because I'm 21, I'm graduating in a month, and I definitely don't know what's next. But fortunately, I've stopped feeling like I need to. I'll be continuing my ASU journey as a graduate student at Thunderbird School of Global Management, not with a perfect plan, but with trust in what's next. And honestly, I think that's the point. But something I have figured out is that saying yes has shaped every opportunity that I've had. So I said I've started in sports as a photographer. I had a few friends on the football team, and I would take their pictures on the sidelines, and I didn't even want to work in sports. I just had a genuine passion. But I took those pictures because I loved it, and over time, it turned into a portfolio. I got more involved in sports as a whole. I joined the 942 crew at Arizona State, and eventually I found myself with a new job as an in-game host. To me, honestly, it's not that surprising, considering I tend to go after the things that excite me, but what was surprising was I was doing it without the background that everyone around me had. I'm a business student, so I was suddenly surrounded by all journalism major peers. Maybe they had reporting or broadcasting experience. They knew exactly what they were doing. And me? I was just there because I said yes. At first, I thought the way to succeed was to be just like them. More polished, more structured, more what you think the role might look like. But obviously, I didn't fit that mold. It didn't really work out for me. I just wasn't myself. I overthought everything. I was trying to get it right, but I couldn't actually connect with my audience. The moment I stopped trying to match everybody else's style, and I showed up with my own energy, which I'm sure you can see, everything changed. I was more natural, more enthusiastic, and I found the way to connect with my crowds. So what I thought was a disadvantage about not having the right background became the very thing that I needed to stand out. It led to more opportunities, bigger moments, greater experiences, and I loved that. Because at my core, I love doing. That's not a bad thing. I don't want you to think that's a bad thing, but I did start to realize I'd been so used to being in constant motion, I never knew what it felt like to stop. And then I left the country. I spent a handful of months studying, learning, working in Italy, and let me tell you, that doing mindset that I love stopped working, and it honestly didn't even exist. I couldn't rush anything or build a consistent schedule or fill every moment with something productive because life just moved differently. I would sit at dinner for hours not because I didn't have anywhere to be, but because nobody wanted to be anywhere else. Conversations weren't rushed because time wasn't measured in the same way. I found that the lifestyle that surrounded me was not focused on outcomes, next steps, or any sort of speed. So for my own sanity, I just had to learn to be where I was. And at first, that's very uncomfortable because I never needed to think about the opposite. I knew how to go after things. I've always been driven. That's been my passion, but I never knew how to let things come to me. I didn't know how to experience life without trying to control it. And in that space, I found what I was missing. A sense of grounding that didn't come from what I had accomplished, but from something deeper that I could just trust. So when I came back from Europe, I didn't stop saying yes. I just showed up in a new way. Recently, I had the privilege to MC during spring training for the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. It was one of those moments where you stop and you think, this is what I've been working towards. And this time, it was different because I was just happy to be there. I was fully present. I was able to take in moments with the crowd, and I didn't expect it to lead anywhere. And I think that's what changed the most. Not the opportunity itself, because I'd had big moments like this before, but how I was experiencing. I wasn't trying to control the moment or turn it into something bigger or my next job. I was just in it. I learned how to actually pause and trust that not everything in life has to be chased. For a long time, I assumed there was a right way to get to where I wanted to go. A path that made the most sense, a path that was the most credible, to follow what someone else has already done. But if there's one thing that my experience has showed me, it's that the opportunities that shaped me the most didn't come from following a clear path. They came from me creating one. From saying yes when it didn't fully make sense, or stepping into roles that I wasn't perfectly prepared for, to trusting that my path did not have to look like anyone else's. And the truth is, the parts of my journey that felt the most uncertain at times made it the most unique, and it's what worked. In a world where it feels like everyone wants to work in sports, following the same path, building the same resume, I didn't, and it worked. You can train, prepare, plan as much as you want. But in athletics, the game is never played exactly the way you want it to. We live in a world that celebrates doing more, trying more, chasing more, being more. And don't get me wrong, I do still love that part of who I am. But what I've learned in the past 4 years at Arizona State University, my time in college, and in my young professional career, not everything meaningful comes from what you go after. Some of it comes from what you allow. So yes, say yes to opportunities, try new things, put yourself out there, fuel your passions, keep going, but don't miss what can't be chased, because the significant parts in your life won't come from what you did or how much you accomplished, but from what you were present enough to receive. Thank you.